All right, Coach Upton, we've got the President's Athletic Conference Championship coming up here Friday and Saturday. Talk about, just real quick, just touch on the outdoor season for both the men and the women, what you liked about it, where you think you guys are at heading into this weekend.
I think so far we've had a very good outdoor season. We've suffered through a few injuries here and there, but here I would say over the last 2 weeks specifically, we've really started doing a lot of good things. We've had several school records broken here in the last few weeks. Not 100% sure how many. I want to say off the top of my head, maybe we've broken 6 school records here just in the last 2 weeks alone. It was interesting coming out of the indoor season into the outdoor season. I mean, everybody seems to know what's at stake coming into this weekend, and their performances, the way they've practiced. Everything's changed here the last few weeks, and we've had some really good performances because of it.
Let's start off by talking about the women. It seems like one of your deepest areas as far as the track team is concerned for the women is the sprints. You have freshman Whitney Martin coming in. You still have a seasoned veteran Maria Jackson McBride, Kira Goolsby, Heather Grinkley, just a plethora of sprinters that do a real nice job. What do you see out of them, and what do you expect out of them in the outdoor championships?
They're definitely what I would say the nucleus, the leaders of the team as far as, ability-wise and what they can bring to the team. Maria Jackson McBride has had an outstanding year. The biggest difference is, she's been healthy this year compared to past years. But she just keeps getting stronger and stronger. Whitney was dealing with, some injuries early in the season, and she came back, in the last meet that we ran in, and, she, moves herself right into the seated number 1 in the 200. And to be able to compete with her and Maria in the 200, it was a fun race to watch, and it's going to be a fun race just to watch the two of them race each other, on Saturday. But you mentioned all of them. Heather Grinkley, Kira Goolsby, Warren Rayo. It gets very competitive in practice. The 4x1. I can throw names in a hat and pull out 4, and we're going to be pretty fast with the 4 that I pull out. Makes practices fun, competitive, and that's, I think, why they're having the success that they have as well. During the meets as well.
You mentioned Lauren Rayo. Talk about the importance of having an athlete that can get you points both on the track as well as in the field. I mean, Rayo's probably one of the favorites to win the high jump at the championships, but she's also a talented sprinter. You've got Grinkley that also does field events as well. Talk about what they bring to the table and how's that going to help the team overall when it comes championship time.
I think Lauren, she's went through probably injuries a lot through her freshman year. Where she's had this issue or that issue, and it just kind of hampered her here and there last year. But she brings a wealth of ability, to the track. Like you're saying, she's had a very good season. She was one of the top 10 scorers in the conference, in the indoor season, and coming out of there, she's jumped better, she's ran faster. It's huge having someone like Lauren on the team. She competes in the high jump. She does. She's one of our fastest sprinters. In the 1, the 2, and the 4. And if we wanted to put her in the hurdles, we wanted to throw her. She's one of those athletes that can do just about any event. It's just a matter of which ones we want to focus her on.
Let's move on to talk about the men. Coming off the indoor championship, it seems like you guys are a lot deeper than you were last year. Let's start off, just talk about the 2 guys that jump off the page to you, Kyle Menger and Umar Moore. They set 4 different records when you took them up to Slippery Rock on last weekend. Just talk about their abilities and what they bring to the table.
Those 2 are special. There's no doubt about it. How they practice, how they train every day. There's not much of a difference in mentality from practice, to meet. I think that's huge in any sport, and that's kind of why they're having the success they are. It's not only how they compete, because they're big-time competitors and they want to win in every event they get in, but how they train. And I think it's been huge as it relates to the rest of the team as well. It gets contagious. Out there training with them and watching them compete, and they both have had a great last week. In their last two meets, they are peaking and running fast and jumping far at the right time of the year, and huge, both of them.
One of the big changes versus last year into this year might be the improvement of the field athletes, not just with Umar, but with the throwers and the job that Coach Kitchens has done with them this year. Talk about how being deeper in the field events is going to help you overall.
I think it helps us big time. In the indoor, we won the indoor championship because in the high jump we had 8 places score, and 5 of them were in the green and white for that day. That's going to be huge again as we head into 2 days from now. Those high jumpers they gotta perform at a high level, and to have the ability to practice with those guys, and for them to watch each other and compete and practice, and then it's awesome to watch that event go on at meets. And as far as Coach Kitchens and the throwers, Bobby Bush, he's really come along this year. We've got several ones that are led performance wise by Bobby and Cody Nidwicki, and they're getting better every day, and I'm expecting big things out of Bobby here in the next 2 days. And so from the field events, it isn't just Umar Moore anymore. We've got a lot of guys doing some different things. In the long jump, the triple jump, and in the throws, and it's fun to watch, and it's all coming together.
Talk about maybe one of the bigger keys is going to be for both the men and the women going into the championships. What do they need to do to stay the course and bring home a title on either side?
Well, it's all about performing on that day. At this point, it doesn't matter what you've done throughout the year. Umar Moore's sitting 3rd in the country in the long jump right now. That means nothing as we head into this weekend. He's got a couple very talented long jumpers that he's going to have to compete against and beat on that day. And that's kind of for everybody. I mentioned the high jump earlier. We need all 5 of those guys to score in the high jump. And then just like coming out of indoor, the Umar Moores, the Kyle Mingers, they've got to do what they've got to do, and that's go out and win their events that they're supposed to win. Help the relays, help lead the relays to championships, and then everybody else, in the jumps, the sprints, and we even have a chance. We have some 800 runners looking good right now. They could be the surprise, heading into tomorrow. Or to Saturday, excuse me. But the guys that are supposed to win need to win, and the rest of them fight and claw, to get those 1, 2, 3 points. And it's the same thing with the girls. The girls can finish, they can finish very high in this championship. But the ones we mentioned earlier, a lot of those juniors and seniors, and then Whitney Martin and Lauren Rayo. Across the board, our girls they've been competing their butts off all year, and it's all going to be on how they compete on Saturday.